The purpose of this video is to provide helpful hints for creating your first model building problem. As discussed in the model building video, which you should have already watched, you will now start earning from 0 points and work your way up to 20 points with the perfect submission. I would encourage you to read through the model building hints in your book or on your handout, and/or consider re-watching the short model building video which outlines these important concepts. You will be earning points for planning, documentation, completeness, accuracy, appearance, and flexibility. Take a moment and make sure you understand what each of these bullet points mean. If not, it would be worth your time to go back and review the 5-point model building video. So, you should be staring at a blank canvas, spreadsheet, and you should have your book open to the appropriate page. This problem gives us some general ledger accounts and instructs us to build a worksheet that will serve as a trial balance. One thing I want to make abundantly clear: the instructions are asking us to prepare an Excel worksheet, not a 10-column worksheet, which is another internal tool that's used to pull together adjustments and to do pro forma statements, but just a simple Excel worksheet. So let's refresh our memory as to what a trial balance is, just in case it's been a while since you took Accounting 100. A trial balance is a simple and straightforward document that ensures the equality of debits and credits. It's important to ensure this equality because if the debits don't equal the credits, then the financial statements will never balance. In other words, it's a working paper that's used at the end of the accounting period and is also a precursor to the financial statements. Any inequality indicates that an error has been made. So as we are staring at our blank template, let's first earn our documentation points, which means I should see your name, the file name, and a description of the problem someplace on your template. Here I'm putting my name, I'm putting the file name. This is all part of the documentation process. You can give your file any name that you think is appropriate, and I'm going to put a brief description of what my file does. This template creates a computerized trial balance. Since you are being heavily graded on appearance and flexibility, we want to make sure that our template looks its very best, and also that we can reuse the template as often as needed simply by making changes in an isolated section, usually called a data section. The goal is, by simply changing these items, the remainder of the template will recompute on its own. That's the major goal of flexibility. Having said this, take a look at the problem in your text and see if you think it lends itself well to a data section, answer section type format. I think it does, so I'm going to create a data section, and further on down my template I'm going to create an answer section. In my data section I'm going to put the account titles and the amounts just like they're shown in the text, and in my answer section I'm going to actually create the trial balance that the author requests. Remember, the answer section should not have to be touched by a user at all. So think about the things that you would expect to change in the answer section. The goal is to cell reference anything that should be changing. So let's start by getting the data in. For example, the first 3 accounts are cash, accounts receivable, and prepaid rent. And the dollar values are $4,440, $5,780, and $1,200. Pay attention to the formats. When using larger numbers, it's better to use a format that puts a comma between the various places. And since I don't need cents in this template, I'll get rid of those. Think about what you want your answer section to look like. My answer section is basically going to be my trial balance. Certain parts of the trial balance will not change. For example, I don't expect the company name of J Consulting to change, nor do I expect the name of the document, trial balance, to change. But what about the date? That may be something that changes every month. Because of that, I'm going to adjust my data section and ask the user to put the date in as part of the data section. So up at the top of the data section, I'm going to put a line that reads date of trial balance, and maybe even prompt the user to input that. Maybe I do that by making a line. So from my borders box, let me just pick a bottom border, put the line in there. And that way I can cell reference to the date. If you put an apostrophe in front of your date, you'll prevent some formatting errors later from happening. So my date is going to begin with an apostrophe, and then the date from our book tells us that we're doing the month of July. You can make up the year. That way, when I get down to the trial balance heading for the third line, I can cell reference my date. That way, in the next month, when this changes, this will automatically update itself. That's what we mean about flexibility. So a trial balance has columns for debits and credits. Take the time and care to make it look like an actual trial balance. Once again, there's lots of ways you can do this, and you know this from the lessons that you've done. I'm going to put a border on the left and a border on the right. I'll use my format painter to copy that over. I want to make sure that the debit column and the credit columns are the same, so take the time to ensure that. I'm going to have a column for debits and a column for credits. The user doesn't have to know anything about what a debit or credit is. You're going to do the hard work for them down here in the answer section. Okay, so again, rather than type them in, we can simply use cell references. So let me go cell reference the cash account by typing equals and the location of the cash account. And once I've done that, you can simply use the fill handle to copy the accounts down. Now, as I fill in the rest of them, these will automatically fill in too. So right now, let me clean this up. My cash, I will go grab from the trial balance. It belongs in the debit column, and I'll press enter. And accounts receivable is also in the debit column, so I'll go reference that and go grab that, as well as my prepaid rent. Again, everything's cell referenced. You may be asking yourself, why did I start the heading over here in the A column? That should be the very last thing I wind up centering after I know how big my template will be. Now that I have an idea, I can highlight the area over what I want to center it over. And depending on the version of Excel that you have, you can explode the alignment box. I'm going to choose center across column. I'm going to press OK, knowing that I'm going to be graded on appearance. I might consider using some bold, maybe even a different font. You can experiment around and see what you like. Definitely consider using lines to enhance your work. Maybe I'll try a border box around the outside. Lots of things that you can do will add value to your product. Again, look over the model building checklist. Since many points will be given to flexibility, think about what you could do to make your template look its absolute best. One of the things you might want to consider when there's lots of numbers is highlighting or filling every other line, maybe with a shade of gray, especially if you don't have a color printer. Once you've decided to do that, don't forget how the format painter works. Once you have a format that you like, I can double click the format painter and every line, or every other line in this case that I touch, will be formatted the same way. Many of the different things that you can do for appearance will take you back to the lessons book, the first book that we used to show us all the various things that you can do with Excel. So before submitting, make sure that your total debits equal your total credits down here. I've only started you off and I haven't finished it, so mine doesn't yet balance, but you should have all cell references in this section. In other words, when I use the control tilde, I should see no numbers up here, but all cell references. And anything that will change between the months, like the dates for example, those should be cell referenced. That's the part of flexibility that's so important. So once again, your work will be compared to everybody else's, so take the time, put the effort into it to make it look its absolute best. Always make the printout look nice as well. When I print this and I preview it on the screen, this is an ugly printout, nothing centered. You learned about in the lessons how you could center your various items. There's lots of different ways to do it. I think I'm going to go to, here we go, on the margins. I could decide to center it horizontally or vertically. Once I do that, it'll give me a preview. That looks much better than the lopsided printout that I just showed you. So once again, take your time and make your work look its absolute best. Make sure that on the flexibility issues, everything is cell referenced to a data section. As always, if you need any help, don't forget to email me. I look forward to reading your updates by Sunday night.